There is a kind of quiet that only arrives after years of giving. A quiet that settles in slowly, like sunlight through an old lace curtain. A quiet that, at first, feels unfamiliar. You wake up one morning, and the house is still. No footsteps in the hallway. No voices in the kitchen. Just the soft sound of the clock ticking, and the feeling that something has changed. For many women over 60, living alone is not something we planned for. It came after life shifted, after children moved out, after a partner passed, or after we finally chose ourselves for the very first time. And while the silence can feel heavy at times, I want to tell you something important. This season of life, this chapter where it is just you, it is not a closing. It is a becoming. Because when the noise of the world quiets down, your own voice becomes clearer. And in that voice, you will find strength, softness, joy, and even laughter again. In this video, we are going to explore 10 gentle but powerful ways that living alone after 60 changes you. Not just your habits, but your heart. And if you are walking this path, or know someone who is, I want you to know, you are not alone. Let us take this journey together. One honest, heartfelt step at a time. 1. Reconnecting with the woman you were and still are. When you begin living alone after 60, something unexpected happens. In the early days, the quiet might feel unfamiliar. You may notice the way your footsteps echo in the hallway, or how the mornings arrive without anyone to share them with. The house feels different. The pace of your life shifts. You may even wonder who you are now, without all the roles you have spent years fulfilling. But slowly, in that quiet space, something gentle begins to rise. It might come when you are making tea and realize you do not have to rush, or when you sit down and look through an old photo album, and suddenly, you remember the girl you once were. The woman with dreams, talents, stories. That version of you is still here, waiting patiently. Margaret, a 65-year-old widow, shared that after losing her husband, she moved into a small apartment by herself. The silence at first was unbearable, but one day, she planted a few herbs on her window ledge, just something small to care for. Within months, her entire balcony was overflowing with green. She smiled and said, "I became the plant lady I never knew I needed to be." Living alone gives you space. It gives you room to hear your own thoughts again, to do things because you enjoy them, not because someone else needs them. Maybe you used to paint. Maybe you loved writing or sewing or singing. Those parts of you may have waited quietly in the background for years. But now, you have the time and the space to welcome them back. Reconnecting with yourself is not about changing who you are. It is about remembering who you have always been, beneath the noise and the expectations. It is about meeting yourself again, kindly, gently, and fully. 2. Creating rituals that nourish you, not everyone else. After a lifetime of caring for others, living alone invites a new kind of rhythm, one that centers around your own well-being. For many women, this change is unfamiliar. We have been trained to keep schedules for our children, partners, and jobs. Now, with no one else to coordinate around, you are finally free to create daily moments that serve you. And those moments, however small, matter deeply. Lily, a 71-year-old widow, shared how she began ending her days with what she calls her evening ritual. She lights a candle, draws a warm bath, plays soft music, and reads a chapter from a novel. This was never something she had time for before. Back then, her nights were filled with dishes, phone calls, and caregiving. Now, this quiet hour is hers. Living alone helps you discover how to build comfort into your routine. Your morning might start with opening the windows and letting in the breeze while sipping your coffee slowly. You might journal, stretch, or simply sit in silence before beginning your day. You are not performing for anyone. You're not checking boxes for others. You're finally asking yourself, what feels good for me? These rituals are not luxury. They are a form of self-respect. They tell your body and your spirit that you are worth tending to. They remind you that peace does not have to be earned. It can be chosen. You do not need permission to create a life that feels soft, steady, and whole. In this season of your life, your time is your own, and the small ways you choose to care for yourself each day will become the gentle rhythm that carries you forward. 3. Learning you're stronger than you ever thought. There is a quiet strength that begins to grow when you live alone. It does not appear all at once. It comes through tiny victories, the moments no one else sees, but that matter deeply to you. At first, you may feel unsure. The home maintenance, the decisions, the cooking, even the silence. It can all feel like too much. You may ask yourself, can I really do this alone? Joyce, 69, shared that she had never changed a light fixture or paid a bill without asking someone first. After her husband passed, she suddenly found herself doing it all. One day, her bathroom sink clogged. She was about to call someone for help, but paused. She looked it up online, followed a simple tutorial, and fixed it herself. She said it was not graceful or perfect, but it worked. I never saw myself as strong, she said. But now I realize I always was. I just never needed to be, until now. Living alone teaches you that self-reliance is not cold or lonely. It is deeply empowering. It reminds you that you can learn new things, even later in life. You can try, fail, try again, and succeed. You can face things you once thought impossible, and not only survive, but grow. It might start with cooking your own meals, paying your own bills, or calling a plumber on your own. But over time, you begin to carry yourself differently. You stand taller. You trust your own judgment. You begin to see that you are capable, far more than you ever gave yourself credit for. This kind of strength is not loud. It is not always celebrated, but it is real, and it is yours. You are not just living alone. You are learning what it means to stand fully in your own power, and that is something to be proud of. 4. Returning to hobbies that once lit you up inside. As women, we often put our passions aside. Somewhere along the way, between raising children, managing households, and caring for others, the things that once made us feel most alive got left behind. The paintbrushes went into storage. The piano stayed quiet. The sewing machine gathered dust. We told ourselves there was no time, or maybe we just forgot how much those things once mattered to us. Living alone, however, changes that. It gives you back your space, your time, and perhaps, most importantly, your permission. Permission to do something just because it brings you joy, not because it serves a purpose or helps someone else, but because it fills you. Carol, a 74-year-old retired school teacher, said she had not painted since her 20s. But after moving into her own small home, she found an old set of brushes and a canvas at the back of her closet. That first stroke of color brought back something she had not felt in decades, a sense of play, curiosity, and expression. Now, one wall of her living room is filled with her work. Painting became my therapy, she said. It helped me feel like myself again, not someone's mother or wife, just me. Hobbies do more than pass the time. They reconnect you to your inner world. They ground you, calm you, and sometimes heal you. Whether it is gardening, writing, dancing, baking, or simply collecting things that bring beauty to your space, these activities remind you that your joy still matters. This is your chapter now. There is no deadline, no pressure, just space to explore and rediscover what lights you up from the inside out. 5. Choosing relationships that truly fill your heart. One of the most beautiful changes that happens when you live alone is the way you begin to choose your relationships differently. Without the daily demands of others around you, You have the space to reflect on the people in your life, who lifts you up, who brings peace, and who feels like a soft place to land. Living alone can feel isolating at first, but over time, you begin to see it as something else: freedom. You are no longer maintaining relationships out of habit, obligation, or routine. You're reaching out because you want to, not because you have to. And that changes everything. Doris, 68, said that after her divorce, she thought she would be lonely. But what surprised her most was how her relationship with her daughter improved. They talk more now than ever before. Not rushed phone calls, but deep conversations about life, memories, and what they are both learning along the way. She also started meeting a small group of women at the library every Wednesday. They drink coffee, share stories, and laugh about everything from grandchildren to knee pain. Living alone helped me realize that I do not need a crowd, Doris said. I just need a few people who feel like home. Quality matters more than quantity. When you create emotional space in your life, the right people begin to fill it. The kind of friends who check in, who listen without judgment, who let you show up as yourself, messy hair, tired eyes, soft heart and all. These are the relationships worth holding on to. The ones that feel easy, honest, and warm. When you live alone, you're not cutting people out. You're simply making room for connection that feels true. 6. Making peace with loneliness and finding power in solitude. Loneliness is real. Let us not pretend it is not. There are evenings when the silence feels too loud, and mornings when you wish someone was sitting across the table. It is perfectly normal to miss conversation, laughter, and the comfort of a familiar presence. But something beautiful can happen when you stop running from that quiet. When you sit with it, when you breathe through it, you begin to realize that loneliness and solitude are not the same thing. Loneliness is the ache for connection. Solitude is the opportunity to connect with yourself. Anna, a 70-year-old widow, said that after her husband passed away, the evenings were the hardest. She would sit by the window and stare at the streetlight, wishing the silence would end. But over time, she made peace with those hours. She started drinking tea and journaling during sunset. She found comfort in the stillness and even joy. I stopped trying to fill the silence, she said, and instead, I started listening to it. Solitude allows you to rest, to reflect, and to soften into your own company. It teaches you to trust yourself again. It invites you to ask, what do I need right now? And then actually listen. Yes, the ache of missing someone never fully goes away, but it becomes lighter when you build a life around small joys, simple rituals, and moments of gratitude. You are not broken for feeling lonely. You are human, but you are also resilient. And in solitude, you can find not just peace, but strength, clarity, and an unexpected kind of companionship with yourself. Chapter 7. Creating a home that finally feels like yours. When you live with others, your home becomes a shared space. Every paint color, piece of furniture, or decoration is often a compromise. But when you live alone, something truly special happens. Your space becomes yours, entirely, completely, authentically. This is your chance to create a home that reflects your heart, your memories, your style. You do not need anyone else's approval. You can hang the art you love, place flowers on the windowsill, fill your shelves with books, candles, or photographs. Every corner can carry something meaningful to you. Evelyn, a retired nurse in her 70s, had spent years living in neutral-colored rooms because her late husband preferred things simple and plain. After he passed, she decided it was time for change. She painted her kitchen a bright, cheerful yellow. She added teal pillows to the couch, hung artwork full of color, and brought in plants for every room. I wanted my home to feel like joy, she said. Now, when I walk in, it feels like me. Your home does not need to be perfect. It does not have to be fancy or expensive. What matters is that it makes you feel safe, warm, and at ease. Maybe you rearrange your furniture to bring in more light. Maybe you finally hang the quilt your grandmother made. Your home is your sanctuary now. Let it tell your story. Let it hold your memories and reflect the woman you are becoming in this chapter of your life. There is freedom in choosing your space for yourself. You deserve to live in a place that wraps around you like a soft sweater. Familiar, beautiful, and truly your own. 8. Discovering mindfulness in the everyday moments. One of the quiet gifts of living alone is how it slows life down. When you are not constantly responding to someone else's needs or schedule, you begin to notice the smaller things. The way sunlight moves across the floor, the smell of coffee in the morning, the feeling of soft socks on a cold day. These are not just details, they are moments of mindfulness. Mindfulness does not have to mean long meditations or complicated breathing exercises. It simply means paying attention, being present, and allowing yourself to experience life as it is happening, without rushing through it. Helen, a 77-year-old woman living in a cottage by herself, said she never used to notice her meals. She cooked quickly, ate quickly, and cleaned up even faster. But now, she takes her time. She puts her food on her nicest dishes, adds a slice of lemon to her water, and eats slowly by the window. I realized I deserve beauty, even in the ordinary, she said. Especially in the ordinary. You might find your own mindfulness in watering your plants, folding laundry, or writing down 3 things you are grateful for each night. These little rituals help you stay grounded. They remind you that life is still rich and meaningful, even when it is quiet. There is no need to strive or perform. Just breathe. Look around. Feel your feet on the ground. Living alone allows you to slow down enough to truly see your life. And in that seeing, you may discover that peace has been waiting for you all along. 9. Taking charge of your health, one step at a time. When you live alone, you become the one responsible for your well-being, not just physically, but emotionally too. No one else is going to remind you to take your vitamins, go for a walk, or eat a balanced meal. That might sound like a burden at first, but it is actually a beautiful kind of freedom. George, 69, shared that after his divorce, he realized he had stopped paying attention to his body. He began walking each morning, just around the block. Slowly, it became part of his routine. He started eating more fresh food, drinking more water, and even joined a walking group. For women, this kind of shift can be deeply empowering. Monica, in her early 70s, had spent years putting herself last, after her job, her family, and all the people she cared for. But once she lived alone, she had no excuse not to care for herself. She started seeing a therapist and picked up meditation. I was finally able to hear what my body and heart had been trying to tell me for years, Monica said. That I mattered too. Caring for your health does not have to be overwhelming. It can start small. A stretch in the morning, a 10-minute walk, a bowl of soup filled with vegetables. A quiet moment to check in with your feelings. Each act of care adds up. You are not just surviving, you are tending to yourself with intention. And that is one of the greatest gifts of this season, realizing that self-care is not selfish. It is sacred. 10. Finding joy and creativity in the kitchen again. The kitchen has always been a meaningful space in a woman's life. For many of us, it was where we showed love. Through family meals, packed lunches, birthday cakes, or late-night snacks for our children or partners. But over time, the kitchen may have also become a place of duty, repetition, and expectations. And once you start living alone, that space can feel empty, quiet, like something is missing. For some women, cooking for one feels strange at first. What is the point of making a meal when there is no one to share it with? Why go through the effort for just yourself? These are real questions, and the feelings behind them are valid. But over time, something beautiful begins to happen. You start to reclaim the kitchen as your own creative space, a place where you matter, a place where cooking becomes less about serving others and more about nourishing your spirit. Susan, a 66-year-old widow, said she used to hate cooking after her husband passed. The silence at the dinner table felt too loud. She would heat something frozen, eat it in front of the television, and try not to think too much. But one day, she decided to try a new recipe she had seen in a magazine. Roasted vegetables with lemon and thyme. It turned out beautifully. She plated it with care and ate at the table with a candle lit beside her. "It was the first meal I cooked just for me," she said. "And I realized I deserved that kind of attention too." Now, Susan experiments in the kitchen every week. Some nights, she tries new spices or dishes from different cultures. Other times, she keeps it simple. Soup, toast with jam, a soft boiled egg. But she always makes it feel special. A cloth napkin, a pretty bowl, music playing softly in the background. These small touches have turned her meals into moments of joy. Cooking for yourself is not about being fancy or perfect. It is about showing up for yourself with kindness. You begin to notice what your body really craves. You enjoy the scent of garlic sautéing in the pan. You look forward to that warm cup of tea after a long day. And maybe, just maybe, you start to see food not just as fuel, but as comfort, as creativity, as something sacred again. Frank, a 72-year-old friend of Susan's, took a different approach. He created a weekly meal plan with simple, nutritious dishes he liked and rotated them. He said it gave him peace of mind. No last-minute decisions, no wasted groceries, and no stress. But even in that structure, he found a sense of rhythm and pride. "I never thought I would enjoy cooking," he said. "But now I do. It is mine." The truth is, the way you nourish yourself matters. Whether it is through cooking, baking, or simply preparing a beautiful piece of toast, it is not about impressing anyone. It is about reminding yourself that you are worth the time, the flavor, the effort. When you light a candle at dinner, set the table just for you, or take the time to savor a meal slowly. You are practicing something powerful. You are saying, "I still deserve care. I still deserve beauty. I still deserve joy." And that message, whispered over a bowl of soup or a slice of pie, is one of the most healing parts of this journey. This is your chapter now. If you have made it to this point in the video, I want to say something very simple and very true. You are not alone. Living alone later in life is not something many women prepare for. It might have come after a deep loss, a divorce, or simply the passage of time. You may have spent years surrounded by people, responsibilities, and noise, and suddenly, you found yourself in a quiet space, just you and your thoughts. At first, it may have felt like something was missing, but in that space, something new was being born. Throughout this video, we have talked about the quiet, subtle, powerful ways that living alone shapes you. You begin to reconnect with the woman you used to be, the one who loved music, or flowers, or long walks without a purpose. You begin to build small rituals that bring peace to your day. You discover a strength you did not know was in you, the kind that fixes sinks, faces paperwork, and walks into the grocery store with her head held high. You learn to fill your time with hobbies and laughter. You choose friends who truly see you. You feel loneliness at times, of course. We all do. But you also find comfort in solitude. You create a home that reflects your soul. You notice the beauty in small moments. You care for your body, not out of obligation, but with love. And yes, you even begin to find joy in feeding yourself, not just with food, but with kindness. This chapter of your life is not a footnote. It is not a fading echo of who you once were. It is a full, rich, meaningful chapter. And you are the author. You get to decide what fills your days. You get to reclaim your voice. You get to live without apology, without rushing, without asking permission. You're allowed to take up space in your home, in your community, and in your own heart. If no one has told you lately, I am proud of you. For waking up in the quiet and choosing to keep going. For finding joy in the smallest of things. For showing yourself compassion when the world went silent. For learning how to live with yourself, and maybe even love it. There is no expiration date on becoming more of who you truly are. You are still growing. You are still valuable. And you are still deeply loved. Not because of what you do for others, but because of who you are. If any part of this video resonated with you, I would love for you to share a piece of your story in the comments. What have you discovered about yourself in this season of life? What has surprised you about living alone? Your voice may be exactly what another woman needs to hear today. And if you found comfort here, consider subscribing to Wise Elders Insight. This is a place for women like you, strong, wise, tender-hearted women, to be seen, heard, and supported. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you walk away from this video with a little more peace, a little more hope, and the reminder that this life, your life, is still full of beautiful moments waiting to be lived.